Transcontinental Railroad just had to do with so many themes of the 20th century, like industrialization and expansion and unification, but so many people just don't know about it.
So many people want to say that the Transcontinental Railroad wasn't important, or that it wasn't real. Well, I just gotta say that you're wrong.
Transcontinental Railroad on this track. Once they started, there was no turning back. From coast to coast is where it spanned, uniting Americans all across the land.
Best railroad in the world is called Transcontinental. 1832, Hartwell Carver thought it fundamental to travel on a train, taking them through the Great Plains to the Pacific. That'd be terrific, but it was too scientific, cause railroad need preliminary information, need to do some exploration. Everything west of the Mississippi was still foreign to the nation. No procrastination, gotta build some train stations. Hurry up, no faking, gotta get it in the making. Railroad companies took claim safety cause the government's a ticket. They want to see the coast the most, so they partake in the gets and purchase for the purpose of producing a bus route, buying land from Mexico because they want to follow through and pursue western land, but they built it all by hand, watching America expand right into the promised land. Workers had to fight to see the light with all their might, and going site to site to hit the golden spike with such a plight, cause they're gonna put the
Transcontinental Railroad on this track. Once they started, there was no turning back. From coast to coast is where it spanned, uniting Americans all across the land. Transcontinental Railroad on this track. Once they started, there was no turning back. From coast to coast is where it spanned, uniting Americans all across the land.
The construction began in 1863, railroad going across the country. When they started, it was already half done, but still took 6 long years under the sun. Workers were primarily Irish and Chinese, their wages quite low from the 3 companies. Western, Central, and Union Pacific, the conditions for workers were rather horrific. In Sacramento, the first track was laid. From there, much more progress was made. They cleared the path with nitroglycerin, cause in tunnels the heat wasn't blistering. As the end neared, advancement didn't decline. The 2 ends met in early '69. When the golden spike was driven in promontory, it was safe to say it's not the end of the story.
Transcontinental Railroad on this track. Once they started, there was no turning back. From coast to coast is where it spanned, uniting Americans all across the land. Transcontinental Railroad on this track. Once they started, there was no turning back. From coast to coast is where it spanned, uniting Americans all across the land.
Was it coast to coast or Omaha to Sacramento? Either way, this railroad was transcontinental. A nation collapsed in on itself during antebellum, but this railroad made things stronger than ever. So you can go and tell anyone can transport their goods across a whole nation. No more selling locally, all that did was cause frustration. USA, big superpower, now it's your time. Come on in, join the club, cause you're gonna be in your prime. Hear the train whistles chime, take a seat and watch the show. America is stepping in, so sit back and watch them blow up like the bombs when they're bursting in the air. Rockets glare, I don't care, I just really wanna stare, cause this railroad is laying tracks for the Industrial Revolution. And after Reconstruction, you can really see this evolution. Laying tracks continentally, but also in the 20th century, it was manifest destiny to fundamentally change the course of history.
Transcontinental Railroad on this track. Once they started, there was no turning back. From coast to coast is where it spanned, uniting Americans all across the land. Transcontinental Railroad on this track. Once they started, there was no turning back. From coast to coast is where it spanned, uniting Americans all across the land.
Alright, we're rolling, we're rolling. Was it coast... You're cooked every time.
Oh! Oh my gosh, Duncan, are you okay? Blooper reel.
One, go. I'm just gonna go in the middle.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, alright, alright.
Oh no, Duncan! Oh, you can. Under the
Workers
sun.
were primarily...
Workers were primarily Irish and Chinese.
Their wages...
The wages quite low from the three
companies.
companies.
Western...
Because you're in the frame.
I didn't realize I'd be in the frame. You can really see the evolution. Lane tracks
Transcontinentally, but also in the 20th century, whose manifest destiny to fundamentally change the course of history.
I don't know how I'm gonna get that. Remember, you're an expert on the Transcontinental Railroad, and you're talking about the Transcontinental Railroad.
Dude, Reese is gonna see right through this BS. You know.